Hey guys, this is Lala Legacy, and welcome back to another episode of Cinderella Phenomenon. So, let's just jump right back in. Claude reaches out a hand toward me, then abruptly pulls away. I stare as he smiles at me almost sheepishly. The conversation between us dies, and we return to the margin. Days passed, and though I did not spy on the conversation between Jurian and Garland, I noticed that Garland has been smiling from ear to ear during his practice with Claude recently. I can only assume that his confession went well. Claude took the patrol shift tonight. As I lie in bed, I am restless. And as I lie in bed. Every time I watch Claude practice with Jurian and Garland, I'm reminded of the palace, of Fritz. I wonder how Fritz is doing. Is he still practicing with the other knights? My thoughts darken as I recall the kidnappings. Claude had to save me every single time. He got injured saving me. Unable to sleep, I slip out of bed and make my way to the reception room. The night air is cool, and no one stops me from standing just outside the margin. I cannot just sit back and do nothing anymore. I have to act. I do not want Claude to get hurt because of me again. Eventually, I see Claude approach. He looks tired and is moving more slowly than usual, but when he sees me, his lips quirk into a smile. Melody, what are you doing out here tonight, love? Love instead of darling. That's new. Hello, Claude. Oh, he's blushing. Oh, cutie. Oh, stop it, mouse. His face is dark red again. If you're using my real name, I suppose you've come to ask for something serious. How could he know that? I do need to ask something of you. Well, if you need a shoulder to cry on, I'm right here, love. What? Oh, it's not about... Never mind. I'm asking if you will be my instructor. For some reason, I seem to have caught Claude off guard. He stares at me for a few moments. What? I want to learn how to use the sword, and I want you to be my instructor. Claude's expression becomes uncharacteristically serious. I'd rather you didn't learn how to use a sword. I do not want you to have to keep protecting me. I don't mind protecting you. I do. Claude sighs and shakes his head. Princesses shouldn't be using swords. I want to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. You are. I do not want you to get hurt again when I do something about it, or when I could do something about it. Teach me, please. Claude. Once again, he flushes. It seems to be an instant reaction, and it is both amusing and endearing. It won't be easy. I wasn't expecting it to be. Claude stares at me for a long time before finally letting out a heavy sigh. Fine, I'll train you. Oh my goodness. Quit! You won't learn in a day, but I can teach you the essentials. You can use one of the knight's training swords. Thank you. Music to my ears. Meet me in the clearing in 10 minutes. 10 minutes? What? You said you wanted to train, so we will. Don't expect me to go easy on you. But aren't you tired? He looked exhausted when he came in, and now he wants to train? Already trying to get out of training. I am not! Claude shakes his head, but he's still smiling. I'll see you there in a few minutes, love. Moonlight spills through the leaves, illuminating the forest with gentle light. Long minutes pass, and as I stand in the clearing, I begin to feel restless. It isn't like Claude to be late. Is he tending to his injury? I hear a rustling in the leaves, and turn immediately to see what the disturbance is. But the minute I do, I am pulled back by a strong force, and my world goes dark. Before I can scream, I hear a gentle voice in my ears. Lesson 1, Melody. When apprehended by an enemy that you can't see, remain calm and use your five senses to judge how best to get the upper hand. This voice is coming from right behind me. Oh goodness. Claude? I become aware that this is the closest he's ever been to me, with my back pressed against his chest like this. Panicking disorients the mind. That is why you must remain cool under any circumstance. How could I not panic? Any normal person would panic. Still, I try to force myself to be calm. Lesson 2. Enemies will often let down their guards when they think they have the upper hand. Catch your opponent off guard by remaining calm and locating this weakness with your senses. I try to calm myself as Claude instructs, but I feel it is a bit easier. But only because I know it is Claude. An opening! I move as quickly as I can, stepping forward so that I can swing an elbow back at Claude's stomach. Before that happens, Claude has pulled me back to him, closing whatever distance I had put between us. In the process, he moves his hand from my eyes to my mouth. I can once again see the forest, but my words are muffled beneath his hand. Another thing to remember, you won't always be able to catch your enemy off guard by throwing punches or hits at them. Your opponent will usually always be stronger than you, Melody. Remember what I said about a weakness. Enemies will often let their guards down when they believe they are winning. Just like I have. An opening? A thought occurs to me as I glance around me and then down at Karma's bandaged hand. Karma's bandaged hand is over my mouth. Is this an opportunity or a trick? What will you do, princess? What kind of tactic would remove you from my grasp? Topple him. His hand is a clear opening, but I cannot damage his hand any further. I'll try to shift my weight against him. If I take him by surprise. I push back against him as suddenly as I possibly can. Claude makes a sound, maybe of disapproval, and does not budge. I change tactics, stepping on his foot instead, but he only shifts his stance. Before I can think of what to try next, Claude moves, and I am suddenly pinned to the ground. Karma 1, Melody 0. That was a pretty good attempt, love, but not good enough, I'm afraid. I wasn't expecting you to come at me like that. I was expecting sword practice. You weren't expecting a man to kidnap you in the alleyway, were you? I glare at him, unable to say anything because he is right. You're oddly quiet. It's hard to find an opening to hurt you when you are not really my enemy. He does not move, but continues to stare at me. His face is close to mine. Close enough to what exactly? Melody, do you trust me to protect you? That's not the point. I need to be able to protect myself. Because you're planning on investigating the witches on your own? No, I want to be able to protect myself, because I do not want you getting hurt protecting me. Claude leans down, and I can feel his hair at my cheek. For a few moments, everything slows to a stop, and all I can hear is my heartbeat and his slow breathing. Once you set your mind to something, you don't let go, do you? Claude pulls away from me before I can respond, and he's standing again, offering me a hand. Let's get started with some sword work, then. The pleasant smile is back on his face. I can never tell what he's thinking at times like these. What are you really like, Claude? Chapter 7, Thorny Rose. When I return to the Marchen later that night, my hands are scratched, and I think I might have bruises on my arms. Claude was not joking when he said he would not go easy on me. But he did compliment me more than once. Melody, I've hit you quite a few times and you haven't uttered a single complaint. Impressive. Crying is for the weak. Though everyone should be sleeping, I noticed that the light is still on at the tavern. I see Jurian and Garland up at the table, speaking with each other and laughing. If Claude had come back with me, he would be happy to see this. You two are still up. They are not even surprised when they turn to face me. Good days, or whoops. Yeah. Wait, I forget. Whatever. Good days like this are even better when stretched. I haven't been off duty in a long time. Did you both have a good time tonight? It was great. Garland knows all these little places in the town that I've never even heard of before. I notice that Jurian is more energetic than usual, her smile a little wider than normal. I wonder if she's drunk. I'm going to get another drink. Another drink? Garland leans in toward me, his voice hushed. We already bought a replacement bottle when we were out today. We would never take anything from the Marchen without money. Right. Is Jurian drunk? Oh no, Princess. Tipsy. It's like a buzz. Fades a lot quicker. Oh. Garland and I watch Jurian as she refills her glass at the bar. I have to thank you, Princess. I would never have asked her out if you and Karma hadn't insisted on it. So you told her? Garland looks at me with a pleased smile. I'll take that as a yes. She didn't really realize until much later. I just asked her out for food, and she thought that's all it was. Maybe Jurian really didn't need to be told bluntly, or did need to be told bluntly. What happened? I, told her? And? We talked and remembered old times. He sounds like an old man. And I held her hand. I noticed Garland flinch ever so slightly, but he is smiling. He looks pleased with himself. And the night's not over yet, so... He trails off with a hopeful smile before he raises his eyebrows at me. What about you and Karma? What about us? I've asked him to train me. Train? Princess, you've asked him to teach you how to use a sword. What's this? Our princess is going to pick up a sword. Jurian returns to the table, but I am too tired to properly join the conversation. I should leave them to their conversation and head to bed. I need to get some rest if I want to start practicing at night. I excuse myself to head upstairs. I am startled awake by an excruciatingly bright light. It is momentary, and when it's over, I am sitting in my bed, dazed and confused. My eyes burn. My hand flies to the pendant around my neck, where I see the second glass slipper with another piece. Oh, there's another piece! But when did I do another good deed? I grasp the necklace tightly in my hand as I make my way to the tavern. Everyone is doing their pre-morning chores when I get to the tavern area. I notice Karma glaring off into space, and then not far from him, the two knights. They haven't been up all night, have they? I make my way slowly over to them. Even back when you were like some kind of shadow, or even back then you were like some kind of shadow, weren't you? You don't have to hide it. It was obvious you were tailing me back then. It was only because I was worried about you. I realized you really didn't have to follow me, Lan, but I'm glad you did. Lan? Jurian. Oh, shush. Fritz used to call you that too. Lan is Garland's childhood nickname. He still gets embarrassed when I call him that. I see. So, what were you two talking about? Oh, we were just reminiscing. I look at the two of them critically for a few moments, waiting for them to say something. They both exchange a glance before looking at me confused. Well? Well, what? How did your date go last night? Garland makes a sound and turns beet red. Jurian's eyebrows quirk, and then she laughs. Oh, that! It went well. So well, in fact, that you can see that the two of us are still very much enjoying each other's company. Jurian is usually busy taking her rounds around the margin, with a scowl on her face. She looks happier being here with Garland, more relaxed. You might even say that we're dating. Aww! Isn't it funny how red he gets, Princess? You were blushing just as much yesterday when I... One more word, Lan, and I swear I'll punch you. The two of them are both blushing now, and the scene is oddly comical. Who knew that the two great knights of the Order of Caldera could be so easily undone? Both of you are amusing to watch. The two of them stare at me, suddenly solemn-faced. I suddenly remember that one conversation the knights all had at the castle. They were talking about how they all had personal reasons for being knights, despite the fact that they all served the king. I had always thought Jurian and Garland were stoic and honorable, that their only reason for becoming knights was a sense of justice. Seeing them here, though, without that stoic facade, they feel more like people. My curiosity is piqued. Do you mind if I ask what your reasons were for becoming knights? Oh, my father was a knight. He put his life on the line for this kingdom. Jurian's father was a living legend in his own right, and he had the medals to back it up. Oh my goodness, Mouse, you were doing so well for a while. My father wasn't around a lot, but I always admired him. Are you kidding me, Mouse? Come on. Come on, Mouse, stop it! Judging by the look on Jurian's face, it is clear to me that she really loves her father. My mother died when I was young, and because my father couldn't be around all the time to take care of me, I ended up practically living with Lan and his family. Lan always got annoyed when I called him my brother. Oh my goodness. Now I know why. Jurian wanted to follow in her father's footsteps. Then why did you join the Knights, Garland? Because he wanted to watch over me. I never knew you blushed so easily, Garland. Oh my goodness. Garland seems to blush even harder at that, and Jurian's laughter becomes infectious. I feel amusement begin to bubble up as I watch the two of them. But a cold voice cuts through the laughter in the atmosphere like a hot blade through ice. Could you keep it down over there? I turn to see that Claude's eyes, normally so warm, are cold. His usual smile is gone, replaced with a deep scowl. Oh, we're sorry. What is his problem? Whoopsie. Oh my gosh. Quit! He's still glaring at the two of them. Oh, I can tell him about the necklace. Cla- Karma, I got another piece to my necklace. Another good deed. Claude turns his gaze to me, but the frown doesn't disappear. That's nice, darling. But that is all the time that I have for this episode, guys. So, if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already subscribed, by subscribing, you're becoming part of a legacy. I guess we'll find out what Karma or Claude's problem is the next time that we play Cinderella Phenomenon. So, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video.